Hi everybody, I'm Marissa. I'm Kissa Creations here on Flosstube and on Instagram, and I am coming to you today, Friday, September 20th, for Flosstube video number 31. It's been, I think, 5 weeks since I filmed, and I know I don't owe it to you. But I'm sorry. Or I do owe it to you. I owe you a video. I really wanted to film before this, but I just haven't really had a lot of time to stitch. So I think I mentioned in my last video that I picked up a second job. It will only run through the end of October. It is for a hotel that's open seasonally here. So once I'm done with that, I'm done and it will be a lot more stitchy time. But something has happened during these last 5 weeks, and I have stitched on only one designer. And by the title of this video, you can tell who that is. I have only been stitching on Long Dog samplers. Long Dog samplers are designed by Julie Line, Jules Line on Instagram. There's going to be a lot of linked people down below because we're going to just talk about long dogs and people that have some going on and people that have finished them and her website, and we're going to talk about my stitching. So a fun little kind of different video today. I'm really excited for it though, and I am glad you're here with me. So now that we've talked about that video, what kind of video we're going to be watching today, just for in general, if this is your first time here, my name's Marissa. I'm a cross stitcher. I also quilt, got some over here, and I crochet. I only have cross stitch for you today. I only have one designer to talk about. If you're not particularly a long dog stitcher or aren't really interested in her designs, I still encourage you to stick around because we are going to talk about some of her designs that are not as, I guess, what you would say typical. I don't know that she would describe them as atypical for her, but I think with the majority of what we see others stitching and posting about either here or on Instagram, that there is kind of a more popular version of long dogs, or ones that you see more often, and then ones that you don't see as often. So we're going to talk about both of them. I'm going to put up a bunch of pictures, hopefully, and like, so you know what I'm talking about if you are unfamiliar. But again, I encourage you to stick around whether or not you're a long dog stitcher. Plus, I have some of my stitching to show you. So this is going to be, it's still a typical Flosstube video. It just is very focused. So getting into long dog samplers, I definitely wrote notes today because I didn't want to miss anything. This is not obviously an exhaustive list of long dog stitchers or an exhaustive deep dive into Julie Line. There are many people who know more about long dog than I do. I just really wanted to round out my month of long dog stitching with some information about long dog for you all as well. So I'm going to start off with showing you a completed long dog that I have. This is the birth sampler that I did for my daughter, my youngest. I did bienvenue, which means welcome in French. So we're welcoming a new member to our tribe, and this is my finish. So it is charted as a monochromatic Quaker style, and we'll talk about all the different styles that she does have. What I did was I chose flosses that were featured in my other daughter's birth sampler and used those, and then added a couple and removed a couple. And I also was stitching with older flosses and then ended up buying some newer flosses while we were driving cross country. So this is also a special stitch for me because I stitched on it literally in the car while we were moving from California to Maine, but also but during that journey. It was the piece I stitched on the most, like at hotels, when we had a little you know, break from sightseeing and traveling and kids. My girls were 1.5 and 3 when we did that, so it was we took 17 days to drive across the country. So it was a lot, and it was very special, and but there wasn't a ton of downtime. But anyways, so I stitched on this. One of the wonderful things about this sampler, and she does mention it on her website, is that not only is there information for the parents right here, so these are my maiden initials and my husband's maiden initials, but there's also spaces for the grandparents. So these are my husband's parents right here, and then my parents are in these 2 blocks. So this is really, I mean, there's a lot of information on here, even though it doesn't have weight, and it does have date right here where you can't see, and then name right here, which I have put tape over. But there's the box is long. I probably could have shortened the box and then just done these little motifs, but I kept the box long and then did the motifs. The pattern gives you a blank box and then all the letters, and then it also provides extra motifs to add in if, again, you have a short name. Like we had a very short name. My daughter's first and middle names are only 3 letters long, so she definitely had some extra space in there. I imagine if you had a very long name, you could omit a last name, or you could extend the box out a little bit if you had to, but I absolutely love this. I will a little closer for you. It is so beautiful. So you can tell, like, the berries on that tree, oh, maybe those are the same colors, but they were supposed to be also the same color as like the dark down there, and there definitely were a bunch of like color changes. Also, this like minty color is different in different parts of it. Some of it's more green, some of it's more mint, like a more aqua-y. So I feel like the way this design is, it definitely, there was nothing bad. Like you can tell, but you can't, and it doesn't matter. I don't know. I just love this. So I was going to tell you when I stitched this, or when I started it and finished it. It did take me a long time. It was kind of more towards the beginning of my stitching journey. Let's see. Sorry, this part's boring for you. I apologize. So I started at 8/23/17, and did I just finish it last year? No, I finished it in 2022. I don't have a finish date in here. I think I finished it in 2022 or 2021. This was the year that I was like kind of not stitching as much. It was a really busy year for us. 2021 to 2022, like when I look at my starts, I only have like 1 start in there, stuff like that. But yeah, so this is my completed long dog that I have. All right, so let's talk about her website. Her website is beautiful. Her website has its own wish list feature, which is fantastic. I think it's great. She has run contests in the past where you can, where she's like picked from people who have established wish lists and gifted them one of her PDFs. Before I knew what her website was, I actually purchased Bienvenue as a paper pattern. Because I purchased Bienvenue as a paper pattern, I have it here. It's not in its bag anymore. It's in this plastic, but it is very safe. It is very legible still. I think I made a photocopy of the page to fill in for like charting my daughter's initials. So because I had made that working copy to write on, even the page where you fill in your stuff is still there. So if you would like to stitch this, I will mail this to you. Please don't say giveaway. Please don't say prize. Please don't say win. Please just let me know that this is a pattern that you want to stitch. I would like to stitch Bienvenue. That would be a great way to enter yourself in to get this. Please be over 18 because you're going to need to send me your address, and I want that to be on the up and up. And I will choose a winner in my next video. So if you want to stitch Bienvenue, if you have a baby on the way or someone that you know that has a baby on the way and you think this would make a great gift for them, let me know you'd like to stitch it, and I will draw a name from the people that tell me that they want to stitch it. Okay, in addition to that, her website has, like I said, it has its own wish list function. It also has beautiful, well-written, creative stories about a lot of her patterns. She's a wordsmith. She's a great storyteller, and a lot of her patterns do have stories attached to them. And I've spent hours on her website. I can spend hours more on her website. So I highly encourage you to go to her site. I think that, yeah, I just spend some time there, click through it. If you, like I said, if you're not, like, you don't think you're into long dogs, like, go look on her website. Go look in the, what's the category? The samplers category. Like, I think it's maybe traditional samplers, traditional category, and the other tab. So there's, like, I think there's a samplers tab, and then it has a bunch of different, like, lines. And then there's an others category. So the traditional samplers and the others tab have really, like, not those black and white, not the monochrome, not the Quaker style. So Bienvenue is the Quaker style. She also has Dutch samplers. She has band samplers. She has geometric samplers. There's just such a wide variety, and I honestly don't think that we see a lot of all of the different varieties. I think we see a lot of the Quaker, a lot of the monochrome, and I think that's what we're more, like, used to seeing from her, from other people. She puts all that other stuff out. It's beautiful. But yeah, I think it's great. Sorry, I wrote notes because I just really didn't want to miss anything. Yeah, her storytelling is just really unrivaled. She also has a Facebook page where she shares, I think, stitches of people who have stitched her pieces. And again, I'm going to share some people that I watch that I know have stitched or are stitching her pieces. I'm going to share because some of those pieces are so big that I think we get overwhelmed. I know I do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to finish this. And so then it sometimes gets buried and you don't necessarily work on it, or you don't feel like you're making as much progress as you really want to be making on it. And I just think that she really showcases the people that do finish it, and that's what I want to do today as part of my video, to give inspiration to other people and to inspire myself to continue to work on the pieces that I have going, so that I don't lose that motivation, and I know that they are finishable. They're not just these big giant things where there's a turkey crossing the road outside. I'm gonna have to take a video of the turkeys. I've shown you the turkeys in our neighborhood before, but he just, like, popped right out. Say hi. I get so distracted. They're not, I mean, we do have squirrels, but the squirrel, turkey. I digress. Sorry. But yeah, I think a lot of her stuff in the other categories really speaks to a different audience than what the typical, long dog stitcher is. But, all right, so let's look at my other pieces, and I have 2 new starts and 1 whip, and then we're gonna talk about a bunch of other people and all of their beautiful projects. All right, so let's go whip first. It's the token. it is being stitched with, oh, I wrote down all of my other silks and I didn't write down this one. It's being stitched with Silks4u, and then I added in a needlepoint silk as an accent. I will put both of those flosses down below. I will put all of the flosses down below, so if you miss writing down from one of the other ones that I share, that will be in it too. I don't have all the flosses for Bienvenue, but if you really wanted to, you could probably go back to some ancient videos and dig. I might even try to link one for you so that you can see it. But here is where the token is. So I added in the aqua for our initials, which I don't know if you can really see, like, it's trying to look at me, but if you can actually see them, but in person you can. They're right. They're light. And then for our date, and then the birds in here. So the date is charted very differently. It is charted with Roman numerals. It might even be charted like in the like European style with the day first and then the month. But we got married on 9/10/11. We got married on September 10th in 2011. And so I think because of the funness of the way that date is and the way that Americans typically list their dates, I just charted it 9/10/11 because that is what I wanted it to look at this. But so I haven't used my board in a long time. All right, so I'm trying to hide my face. Don't look at me, but I want to be able to see what I'm pointing at. So really, like, this just top corner is all I have left. Here we go. I'm gonna stand up, and that's gonna be able to. This is how we're gonna solve this problem. Problem solving. Okay, now I can see. So I just have up here. I have the inside of this motif. There's a flower right here, one big motif right here, one big motif right here, and then I'm done. Then I'm done. So now that we're not worried about my face, here we go. This silk variegates between a 666 Christmas red and like a 816, 815 in there. I think these two so far are where the variegation is my favorite. Sorry, I'm trying to hold it still. I'm like on my tippy toes. I mean, it looks really pretty on this one too. I don't know, they all are so pretty. These motifs are gorgeous. It really worked out well with this silk. I don't know, stay tuned for a giveaway after that. Hold on one second. Look at my messy house. Can you see them? Look at them. There they are. Hi, turkeys. Sorry. I love the wildlife in our neighborhood. Sorry, I don't want to make you sick. I'm going to spin you back around. Bye, turkeys. We've watched them grow up from little baby chicks walking around to the big mamas. Okay. Now we have to do this game again. Ready? Let's see. The other day we had a hawk in our yard, which I was actually kind of happy about because we have, man, chipmunks are loud. We have one chipmunk that just like sits there and like yells at the top of his lungs for like the whole day, and kind of seeing that hawk was like, well, buddy, maybe you should shut your hole, and or you might be finding out why you should be quiet. But yeah. All right, so the token is almost done. I've been actually, so this is on 36 count Tycho from Picture This Plus. It is like a off-white with like a kind of like a little bit of gray, but not a lot. I really like it. I actually had a hard time not buying it for the other long dogs that I was stitching, but the contrast on this with the white and or the almost white and the red is just, ugh. I love it so much. I'm really like excited, and I think the reason that I had 2 long dog starts is because I was like kind of dreading finishing that, because then I wouldn't have a long dog that I was working on. And in my last video I was talking about how I wanted to not start another long dog while I had a long dog going. And I'm just, at this point, I will say for me and a lot of other cross stitchers, if we make ourselves rules, like you could just start laughing right then. Like, but apparently cross stitch rules are made to be broken and will be ASAP. It's like it comes out of your mouth as a thought rule that you're making for yourself, and then like immediately you're pulling out the supplies to break said rule that you just made. Gone. Done. Rule non-existent. Anyways, so that is my whip. And then I had 2 new starts. I think it was the New Hampshire stitcher that started this like a while ago. But there is a sale called the BAP to School sale. A big, awesome, if you will, project. And so for September, which is when everyone goes back to school here, we started a BAP. The A can be substituted for another A word also, just depending on your level of comfortability with that word. But we're gonna go with big, awesome project for now. This year, we were at a stitchy meetup a little while ago, and one of my friends said that she was gonna start Act of God, my friend Brandy from B&E Stitchery. And I went, oh, I wanna start that so bad. I've been eyeing that on the website, and she was like, let's do it. And I said, okay. So I started Act of God. This is Act of God by Long Dog Samplers. I am stitching it on 36 count because I really liked that for the token, and so I figured that the count of fabric would be nice. Now my token fabric, that Tycho, that 36 count is really soft. It's very, it's not scratchy. I'm stitching this on Mirage, and it is scratchy. It's scratchy, and I think it might just be because it's the dark color, but they're both Picture This Plus, so I don't know. I had won a gift card from Patchy Pony Stitches like last Christmas, and so it's been hanging out in my like 1, 2, 3 stitch, like just, you have this $20 in there waiting, and I needed a fairly large piece of fabric for this, so that really helped me be able to put this in my repertoire. So I have started Act of God, and again, I'm stitching it. You're not going to stitch all of Act of God from this. I use the paper pattern, and then I have it in Pattern Keeper. So that's where I'm at. It's not a lot, but it is. I think it is over the 2% mark. I am stitching it with PR084 from Silks4u. This is my B&E Stitchery needle minder that I got from Brandy and Emma at Library Stitchers Retreat. Felt very appropriate to be on there since I am stitching that with Brandy. And then, so I did a poll on my Instagram when I was picking floss for that project, and I had another option, that I had a skein of from Silks4u, and I was like, which one should I do? And the vast majority chose the purple, which I was already leaning towards anyways. And Brandy's color is like a more winey purple, but it's in that family. And then she's got the dark gray fabric too, so it like really is a very similar stitch along for both of us. So in addition to that, I had another floss. So I went onto the Long Dog Stitcher website and picked out another pattern that I had been thinking about for a long time. This pattern actually lives in the others category. It's a bit smaller. It's kind of monochromatic. I'm not really sure why it lives in the others category versus, and it might just be because of its size, but I am stitching Fish and Ships. And I just love this so much. This lighthouse up here is so stinking cute. But I started on the bottom. I started over here in the bottom right, which is where I really like to start. I started Act of God in the top left. And the reason that I started Act of God in the top left is because I want to get to this motif right here as soon as possible. I love it so much. I want it on there. I want it stitched. I want to be able to look at it. I just love that little crab and the octopus. So that was, while not my preference to start on in the top left for a long dog, I started there. The token I started bottom right. Bienvenue I started bottom right. And I've talked about it before, but that is just because of the way that I stitch. My first stitch is in the top right of the square of stitching. And so the reason that I like to go up rather than down is because if I go down, then often if I have to go straight down, I have to modify my stitch. Otherwise, when I come back up, I would just be unstitching the last stitch that I made. That might not make sense. It makes sense in my brain. I hope it makes sense to you. Anyways, so I also started Fish and Ships. I started Fish and Ships on Frozen Fractals from Fabrics by Steph with Silks4u PR084, which is like turquoise. And then Frozen Fractals is kind of like a turquoise, aqua, and green fabric. So, and it's also what my Deadly Aquarium is on, and I can't get it to show up right on camera. I did get finally a decent picture of it on my Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, look at the Fish and Ships, the first Fish and Ships new start post that I did, and that's the color that the fabric is. This is looking fairly close, but so there's my start. It's still washed out. There's my start in that bottom corner, the little fish and their bubbles. Move this. You can see that. And that's a little bit over the 2% mark also. So obviously the size differences on those two pieces, I think the first one is like around the 2% mark. The size difference on those two pieces really like makes the difference on on what 2% is. So like, I'll show those next to each other. Oh, I guess that one goes that way. Hold on. I'll get my act together someday. Oh, and this one has a needle minder from the New England Stitcher, which I got at, I think, Stitch Main. All right, so 2%, or maybe even under 2% on a giant project, and a little over 2% on a little project. So very different amounts of stitching right there. The border on this one is no joke, guys. No joke. No joke. All right, let's talk about other stitchers. I'm definitely using my notes for this part. Okay. Other stitchers who are stitching long dogs have come across that. Okay, this is not an exhaustive list. If I missed you, I am sorry. Please let me know below, because I love to follow along long dog stitching, especially the big ones. I love to see what's going on. But these are people that I have been watching recently, or that have watched you know, in the past go through the process of their long dog. So let's see. Jessie Marie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff, creator of WhipGo. We know her, we love her. So she has 3 right now that she's regularly showing. Ragnarok, Sans Souci, and Opening Gambit. I don't think she's shown Opening Gambit in a while, but I know she's working on that one because her and her partner are like big board game people. And I think in the past that she's completed at least one of the Opus patterns or has it working. She rotates her whips so that sometimes her whips aren't active. So she doesn't like work on those during a year. So she has like a very intense like rotation situation. So her she may or may not have finished one of the Opus ones, and she may or may not even have the other one going. That is like in her whip pile to be worked on later. But so check out Jessie Marie for some long dog stitching. She's been working on Ragnarok a lot lately and has been posting and showing that one. Abby Bella Stitch. So in an older video of hers, like a long time ago, before 2017, or in 2017, she had like a clothesline behind her that had her finished stitches, some of her finished stitches that hadn't been fully finished yet, like hanging on it. And the token was up there. And I was like, what is that? I asked her in her video and she told me, and then I bought it and then I stitched it. So she definitely inspired me to stitch the token. So she stitched the token in the past. She's currently stitching Winterburn, which is from the 2008 Long Dog book, Labre de Noé. Now, that book is out of print. It was only available in France, I believe. Like, I think Abby said she bought hers from Amazon France back in the day. It was supposed to get published into English, but it never happened, and then they stopped publishing it in French. It is virtually impossible to find. I know that there is a flip through on YouTube that somebody did, because I came across that while I was like searching. Even like eBay has like no record of any of them selling that you can easily access, although maybe Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe could find it. But I imagine if somebody did list one and they put it as an auction, like it would just go through the roof. It would make all the lists of most expensive. But she's also, so Abby's also working on Jack Be Nimble, and she has plans to start Ragnarok, which she has talked about in the past. Andrew, the runner stitcher, he's working on Saga, and he's been reading and going through all the little stories that go, like each little arch in that stitch. And like I said, I'll put pictures of patterns while I'm talking about them. Each little arch in that stitch has like a little story that goes with it, the major arches, and he's been sharing those as he's been stitching them. So that's been, excuse me, that's been really fun to watch and follow along with. Let's see. Emily C. Eclectic Possessions. I think she was one of the first people that I saw start Death by Cross Stitch. That got started, like when that came out, I remember so many people started that. Hers stands out the most in my mind. So she was stitching it with, I think, a brown as like a base color, and then she was like, as like the outline areas, and then she would pick, I think they were silks. Like I think she got a bunch of random small amounts of silks, like from a grab bag or like mist dyes or something, and she was using those to fill in the different parts, and I think she was just pulling them at random what she felt would look good where. And so that was really pretty. She also has Pandemic going, and I don't know when the last time we saw her Death by Cross Stitch is, but Emily, I would be interested in seeing that again. Just, you know, if you have it handy. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, is working on the Pilgrim, and it shows up occasionally in her videos, but she is a stitcher that has a chunk of whips, like a good chunk of whips. So there might even be some other long dogs in her catalog as well. But also I don't know how often the Pilgrim shows up for her, but I know that that is one of the ones that she's stitching. Stephanie at Lindy Stitches, she finished Templar Prophecy not too long ago. I think she did edit it and like took out a part of it. But again, like sending you to see videos and look at people's that have finished these pieces that just like look and feel like so gigantic sometimes, I think it's just really inspiring, and hers was beautiful. Helen D, who is not somebody that I would, again, I use this like typical long dog, like I say, I think that means like the monochrome, the black and white, the single colors, and the, you know, the large ones. She stitched Cardinal Points. Cardinal Points was released, was designed by Long Dog for Gentle Arts Sampler Threads, I think, to showcase a lot of their flosses, and it showcases a lot of their much brighter flosses. It is a beautiful piece. Helen did an amazing job. It's been a little while since she finished it. I think she has it framed and done and on the wall, but she's someone to go back to look at. And again, it's my like example of like, even if you don't think that you're a long dog stitcher, you might be a long dog stitcher. Brandy from B&E Stitchery, who I already mentioned, is stitching Act of God. Hers is really pretty. She started at the beginning of September. Patty, my friend, who is on Instagram, she's not here. I'm going to show her finish. She finished Pandemic. I got to see it when she only had one page left on it. That was at Stitch Maine. She was working on it there, and I got to see it in person, and holy heck, this piece is beautiful. It was inspiring. Like I said, we can finish these big pieces, y'all. We can do them. It's gonna take a little while, but they are so worth it, and is so pretty once they're done. So congratulations on that. She has it all framed up and everything. It's done. It's an on the wall piece. Beck stitches everything. Rebecca, she is stitching, and she just showed it in her last video, Variant of Interest. And it's gorgeous. Hers is beautiful as well. I think she mentioned that she had Pandemic going too, but I don't remember when she's shown that, or maybe she's thinking about starting it. But yeah, I think a lot of us have like, I'm thinking about starting this long dog thoughts. Like I said, I just went and started two in the same week. I might be a little nuts, but also here I am doing a video all about long dogs. So here we go. And then the last one was Sadie Garita. She's a newer floss tuber. She's from Maine, and she's stitching You Belong to Me, which is on my wish list. It is probably the next one that I will start, unless something else pops, unless she designs something else, unless that I can't avoid. Like, I had avoided Pandemic, I had avoided Death by Cross Stitch, I had avoided Life After Death, I had avoided The New Normal. All of those like called to me but didn't. But when she released Act of God, that was the one that I was like, okay, I am gonna do this in that sort of style. And then Fish and Ships, kind of, I wanted to do that one before You Belong to Me. Just because it's smaller, and so starting like one of the close to largest ones that she has, and then starting one of the smaller ones. Ooh, speaking of smaller ones, so if you're interested in those monochrome pieces and it is like way too scary for you, even though I've just told you that like people do complete them and they happen, there is a section of her website. Hold on, I have a note. What's it called? They are called peccadillos, and they are like small little, they all have kind of lusty names too. I sort of am totally here for that part of her website. They're smaller, they're just little snippets of like the long dog world. And I think that if you were really overwhelmed and weren't in that like gung-ho I can do this mode, that is an amazing place to start on her website, and just check those out because they are so stinking cute, and they really are like little pared down versions of these much larger projects. So I love Long Dog samplers. Julie Line, thank you. You have inspired a lot of the cross stitch world to just have really beautiful art in their homes, and thank you for your storytelling. It is just appreciated and loved, and I think that the amount of people that are stitching these giant pieces probably speaks for itself, but again, like this, my ode to Long Dog, thank you so much. I will have 2 in my house commemorating 2 of the most important moments in my life, 2 out of 3. My other daughter's birth sampler is at Bent Creek, but one of them will be on, one of them is Bienvenue, and then the token will symbolize and represent our wedding day. So those have been some pretty huge milestones, and they are written in Long Dog at our house. And yeah, so thank you all for joining me. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. I don't know when the next time I will see you is. Like I said, the second to last week of October is when my job will end, my secondary job will end. So hopefully there will be more stitching and more floss tubing, and I will be back to hang out with you soon. But thank you for coming back to me today, and I really appreciate it. I hope you have great stitching in your future, and I will see you next time. Bye.